I wanted to find my own way. So this morning, I persuaded my father to let me travel alone from his apartment in Kobe to my grandfather's beach house in Tarumi. It had taken me nearly 2 weeks to convince him. You would think I was a child, not a young man of 20. It seems a small victory, but I've won so few in the past months that it means everything to me. Perhaps even the beginning of my recovery. Just before leaving, I bought this book of Japanese parchment paper to record any other prizes I might be lucky enough to capture. It opens before me now, thin sheets of sand-colored paper, empty and quiet as the beach below the village. Since I became ill last spring in Canton, I've had no time to myself. When I was too weak to continue studying, my instructors in Lingnan University ordered me home. My friend King accompanied me on the train and hovered over me all the way home to Hong Kong. I'll never forget the frightened look in my mother's eyes the day I returned. It was like an animal's fear for her young. I couldn't stop coughing long enough to catch my breath. When King and a manservant carried me up the concrete steps of our house, my mother stood in her green silk cheongsam, lips pressed tightly together in a straight line, as if she were holding back a scream. Once home, I was constantly under her cautious eyes, and those of her old servant, Ching. The two women monitored my every move, as if I might wilt away right before their eyes. That's how they looked at me sometimes, as though I were already a memory. I can understand their concern. My days were still punctuated by fevers in the late afternoon and a persistent dry cough. All through the thick, sticky summer, the heat made things worse. When my illness was diagnosed as tuberculosis by an English doctor, my mother sent a telegram to my father in Kobe. Her concern turned to dread, and she forbade my younger sister, Penelope, whom I've called Pi ever since she was born, to enter my room. Every morning, Pi balanced on the threshold and smiled at me, looking smaller than her 12 years. There are 4 of us children in all. My older sister, Anne, and my younger brother, Henry, are now back at school in Macau. My parents gave us all Christian names at birth, since my father believes it an asset in the business world to be addressed with ease by Westerners. His import-export business thrives on such progressive ideas. It seems the apartment he keeps in Japan is more his home than our family house in Hong Kong. He makes his life in both places, and the way he bows low with eyes averted seems at times more Japanese than Chinese to me.